Yo, there we go. Had the mic muted, but should be good now. Let me know if you guys can hear me. Cade, I see you in the chat. Let me know if the audio is coming through. Hopefully we're good to go here, but I got the chart pulled up. Got the stream running, got it posted. I think we should be good, man. I think we should be good to go. We should be good to go. Go. Yeah, looks like we're getting some likes, we're getting some reposts. Appreciate it, guys. If you're coming on here and you enjoy streams like this, you enjoy this kind of content, make sure you're giving it a like. Make sure you are sharing this out. Give it a quick repost, and yeah, we'll get right to it. We should be live on the YouTubes as well as on X, which is probably where most people are going to be watching this, but replays will be up. I see TTF Bot. What's up, TTF Bot? How you doing? How we doing? Glowmay22. How's it going? Of course, Mr. Cade. Cool. Yeah, look, we'll ease into this here real quick. Hearing you well. Perfect. Yeah, let's jump into this. Let's break it down. It's been an interesting week. Golly, my speech right now. I'm ready for that afternoon nap. Get some more coffee. Coffee's the remedy to everything. So we'll get a little bit more coffee going, and then we'll jump right into it. But yeah, I think we should be good. So let's jump into this. I forget to say this every time, but you guys already know, like, we're just talking about TA concepts and general market analysis on this program here. Nothing that we're going to cover today is any kind of financial advice or suggestions to buy or sell. We're just looking at some charts, drawing some lines here on this show, presented by Wolf Bitcoin, Wolf Financial, the entire Wolf team, sponsored by our friends at Ostium. Check them out, by the way. Did drop a link in the comment of right here, right below the show, right below the stream on X. You should be able to find it. But there is a link there to go check out Ostium. And look, we'll jump right into it. We wanna look at BTC. We've been talking a lot about BTC in this range, so let's look at BTC, because there's a lot going on here. Here, we'll switch over to a slightly larger view. Yeah, let's stick with that view right there. There we go. But yeah, welcome as you guys are coming in. Welcome. If it's your first time here, big welcome. We do this show every week, every Tuesday, same time, 4 p.m. Eastern. And we take just a technical focus and view of the crypto market. A lot of focus on BTC and what Bitcoin is doing because it drives what most of the crypto market does, even though you do have some anomalies that kind of like to move on their own, like to do their own thing while Bitcoin does its thing. But for the most part, most of the crypto market cap and liquidity will follow BTC. So we'll mainly focus on BTC. But look, we'll talk about Ethereum. We'll talk about, coins like Litecoin, Cardano. We'll talk about Solana, XRP, some of these types of coins. But all through the lens of really just taking a look at what Bitcoin is doing and seeing if there's any kind of alpha that can be extracted from that, just for us to be aware of some of these key levels, key areas, key zones that we're watching. And then depending on your trade style, you'll find different ways to get involved and participate in some of the market action. If you're, if you're a small, short-term, low time frame kind of trader, where you're just taking small shorts here, small longs, a lot of scalpy action that's just really grabbing all of this volatility here, then you've had plenty of action over the last week or two. A lot of action. If you're a swing trader, though, it's been pretty nice as well. On the 4 hour, you've got a very clean 4 hour range. I mean, it seems it's like 70K range high right now has kind of been sticking, and then we're seeing moves still into the 60s, but a lot of moves kind of bouncing here about 65K. So plenty of action. If you if you're kind of swinging a larger bag and you're kind of waiting for daily, weekly, monthly moves, yeah, maybe it's been a little bit boring. Everything's essentially just been inside of this range. You can call the range high, roughly 72, range low at 60K. Nothing but chop and inside bars inside of that larger range here. Very, very obvious on a 3-day chart. Everything is inside this 3-day candle back from the beginning of February. There was a high of the candle, low of the candle, and everything's just been inside bar inside of this 3-day candle. Nothing's really breaking out to the upside or the downside. And even a lot of these, when you zoom out and you're looking at them on this 3-day time frame, they basically just give and take, just moving from similar levels. These first this week up here was basically just moving to 65 and then getting back up near 70, and then you kind of expanded that, and then down here it was like 62, 63 to 68ish. It's roughly where we still are. So yeah, I just the market gives, and we take what it gives, we do what we can with it, and sometimes there's more opportunity than other times, and you just got to go with the flow. But it's always fun. Crypto is just one of those areas, one of those industries and niches where there's always something happening. If Bitcoin's kind of boring, some of the alts are moving. Thankfully for, we've got platforms like Ostium that even if crypto itself is boring, you can take your crypto and go trade stocks, go trade the indices, go trade some of these commodities, metals. Maybe you wanted to trade some silver, some gold. You're able to do that on Ostium using code WOLFB, by the way. Use code WOLFB. But if you click on that link, you'll be good to go. I think it takes you straight into that correct page. But if not, WOLFB is the code. So that's the beauty of crypto. It's 24/7. You can trade on centralized platforms, decentralized platforms. You can, trade on accounts where you got to set up a login. You can trade in self-custody ways where everything's on chain. It's a beautiful thing. It's an absolutely beautiful thing. So look, this has been, we'll go back to this 4-hour chart on BTC. This has essentially been my expectation. I'll put it here on screen. But this has been my general expectation for what's happening here since this low was put in on the 28th. It's been my expectation that we would kind of slowly chop up. It's following pretty close. This pullback, I actually was, my initial expectation was that it would just be a shallow pullback, but we ended up getting a nice deep pullback on this move up. It actually retraced, I don't know, what is that, at least 75, maybe 80% of this entire move up. It ended up retracing it. So much deeper than I thought it would be. But ultimately, look, if we're keeping this simple on BTC, if we're keeping it very, very simple, you're still trending up, right? A low, a high, higher low, higher high. We've got a higher low here as well. So this is still very much in an uptrend. Not a lot has shifted or changed here in this structure. And then even if you're looking at these lows here, you've got, you can call these roughly equal lows, but it is a technical higher low here. So that move here was still higher than this previous low down here. And we are kind of trying to round out a little bit here. We are trying to round out just a tad bit here. So we'll see if this holds. Look, at this point on the 4 hour, we've got enough data here to have clear invalidations. A break above this high here, this recent high, a break above, what is that high at here at 70,000? Basically a break of 70K confirms that we're still trending up and putting in higher highs. And you increase the chances that we're going to make a move up towards this next high up here, which is back from February 8th. So, that would be the next target. And then looking at this higher time frame zone here, that's about 74K or so. If we don't get above that level and instead we break this recent low from today, this 4 hour recent low from today, which is down here at 66,158. So if we get if this next move breaks below that, then you have now shifted this structure back into downtrending, right? Because here you're still going higher. If suddenly, and this here is too early to say for sure, but if that is a high, you would have at this point a lower high compared to that, and that'll confirm on a move lower. You'll then have lower lows as well. So watching that here, this next little bit of time here will be pretty key in deciding if this is getting ready to push higher, continuing this overall uptrending little bit of structure here, or is this getting ready to wind down, and then we're looking at lower highs and we'll be looking for lower lows, right? And then at that point, this low here is coming up. It's my opinion. This is just my personal opinion, and I may be very wrong about this, but it's my opinion that if this did happen and we take out this low here, at that point, getting any closer to this here, like you're in my mind, you're very likely just coming down here. You're probably going to sweep these lows, and you're gonna try and find a bottom somewhere down here, if not even running this low from back here in at the beginning of Feb, that big wick low. So could be what is setting up. It's too early to tell, in my opinion. If we go into the lower time frames, it is starting to cool down a little bit here, losing a little bit of momentum. Yeah, I mean, look, this had the opportunity here to try and break out higher. Has not done that. Could this just be sweeping here and then it tries to do that? Sure. But we are coming up towards end of US session, moving into the gap down here between US and Asia. And generally, this is just a period of time where I try not to take a lot of positions or keep heavy exposure, as sometimes that move between US and Asia can be kind of it can be quite volatile. Just like the UK into US is typically a very, very interesting period of time, and it just ends up chopping people up completely. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But ultimately, I think the alpha here is just looking at the higher time frame structure on BTC, just zooming out, focusing on the fact that you're still putting in higher lows. So as long as this stays intact, I think we're okay. The danger becomes that if you start putting in some lower highs up here, you'll need to be paying a lot of attention to these lows, because that's what's going to signal. If this comes down and then breaks that, brace, get ready. You'll have to position accordingly for potential lower. Yeah. What do you guys think? Any comments on that? Any questions? Is that pretty clear? Are you guys following that structure there? It's pretty clean. I really like how Bitcoin moves. A lot of people don't like to trade Bitcoin, but it's one of the smoother trading assets. It really is. It moves clean, man. It moves really, really clean. I really enjoy trading it. If I have to clear as mud, says Chad. If I have to pick something to trade, man, and it's like I could trade this or I could trade, ETH or Sol or something like that, I'd just rather trade Bitcoin. Sometimes there's more X's to be made trading some of the alts, right? Because if, Bitcoin gets a 10% move, some of these other things might get a 20, 30% move. But I prefer like the fact that this is a very liquid asset and it's heavy. Reese says, is this a video saved? Yeah, all of these are saved. You can go back, you can watch these. They're on YouTube as well. You can watch them on YouTube as well. But yeah, you should be able to go back and catch the replay to all of these. On YouTube, they are, they're saved a lot longer, I think, on YouTube than on X. I believe X saves them for like 3 months, and then I think after that they start kind of dropping off automatically, if I'm not mistaken. So that's what I'm watching. That's what I'm watching, guys. I'm just keeping it pretty straightforward on BTC. You'll see me here, like what I'm highlighting here is just these daily ranges that I like to watch here for reversals, right? So I'm like highlighting where you're kind of moving out of one range, moving into another. It's very clear on the daily chart, by the way. So if you guys go to daily, this is where you can really kind of look at that, right? You get a big move down, and then you get that next move back up. Then you get the big move down, move back up, and it kind of forms these nice little tradable moves, right? So it's just looking at these daily candles. Speaking of daily candles, we're down to 2 hours and 37 minutes on today's daily candle. And look, it's my opinion that if this thing closes above these EMAs, if it closes above the 13, a close above the 21 would be absolutely beautiful, but it closes even above this. You got a nice wick to the downside. There's a decent chance, that this next candle wants to try and move a little bit higher. So we'll see. Your 13 EMA is currently at 67,453. So even if we mark that out on the lower time frame, 67,453, which is right around, I mean, you call it this low, right? Just call it this low here. Basically, 67,473, 453 was just below that. So essentially on the lower time frame, we're kind of watching around this 4 hour candle low. So even if this pulls back, we kind of want to see a bounce somewhere around here, preferably. But this is looking pretty good. Had a big move down here in terms of 4 hour structure. You basically came down, filled this inefficiency from this big single print, right? You had this big massive candle here that left a bit of a gap, a bit of an inefficiency here. And then price comes down, balances that, brings balance back to the chart, to the market, and it's now moving away. It's moving away with a little bit of speed, not a lot. It's got some volume. It's got some volume behind it. Nothing crazy. I like to see these big volume spikes like this. These are the ones that give me a lot more confidence. Maybe something like that is coming after this daily close, and then we move higher. Looking at the 3-day, got a day and 3 hours left for Bitcoin. Candle's still looking good. It's engulfing the previous 3-day candle. Sure, it's given a lot of this back. We got a little bit of a wick to the upside, but again, we've got a day and 3 hours left, so not super concerned about that. Top of the range is up here near 72. Bottom of the range is down here at 60K. We're closer to the top of the range. To me, this is just my opinion again, but I think if there was a move down here to these lows, I mean, it kind of makes more sense to me that you trap out the top of the range, come up here, do a swing failure, deviation, whatever you want to call it, and then you come down and then you take liquidity from all of this, take the range low, take everything that's trapped down here, and then you get that. Like that would be very clean. It's what I would like to see. Doesn't mean I'm going to get it. It's what I'd like to see. You know? But we don't always get what we want in trading. Isn't that the case, huh? We don't always get what we want. Sometimes you get what you get. You just got to play it. But that's what I'm watching. We'll see what happens. So far, again, I'm just sticking to my analysis that I did like Saturday of last week, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, which was this. So far, this is still generally on point, and it's kind of what I'm still looking at. My invalidation at this point for this is if we breach these lows here. If we breach these lows, these recent lows from today, then something else is happening, and then this is very unlikely to continue at that point. So always good to have a predetermined invalidation to any of these ideas. So don't invalidate it in the moment. Like emotions get in the way, peer pressure gets in the way, news, drama, the way your day's gone, your coworkers, your family at home. Like there's a thousand things that can get in the way in the moment. Stick to what you saw before all of the noise showed up. Stick to what you saw before everything started playing out, and then you get nervous because now you're in the game, right? So, and I'm a big fan of, if you don't have a trade and you pull something up and you identify something on the chart, I'm a huge fan of walking away for a little bit. Like if you think something's going to play out, just walk away. Go walk away for 30 minutes, an hour, go do something else, then come back, look at the chart again. And if that setup is still there and you still think it's valid and you can still identify that opportunity, then you start looking for ways to play. But if you do it in the moment, a lot of times you get caught up and there's a bit of like FOMO type of energy that comes into play, and you end up just jumping into stuff that has, very low probability of actually playing out. So just keep that in mind. So here on a 15-minute though, like we do have this very, very nice little gap here. So you've got a nice little gap, but even the entire candle, I would just classify that as like an unclaimed vector that would be very interesting in the short term here on BTC to see this just come down, fill that, come back up before the daily close, still give us a pretty favorable daily close, and then try and see if it can do something like that. But if we can't get a bounce here again, the odds of this getting swept increase significantly. And if this happens, then I think that, you're probably looking at a bit of downside. I think at that point, it's going to run this support that it's potentially built up here. So all eyes on this, in my opinion. Looking across the board, yeah, see a lot of these look to have just swept to the upside. Even Ethereum, when we're looking here at ETH on the 4-hour, this looks to just been a nice little cleanup here. If it loses these lows, then yeah, I think ETH has probably got to move down here towards previous week low at that point. So the risk here with ETH is if this starts coming down, it's probably going to cascade through this. Is there a chance that ETH can come down and try and get a bounce somewhere here? Yeah, there is. Slim. I think it's slim. But you might be able to get something like that. Maybe. But man, at that point, I really start questioning why you wouldn't just get the cleanup all the way to the downside entirely. It comes down, takes previous week low, maybe even previous month low at that point. And and then we wait. This can go pretty deep. This can catch some speed as it's kind of taking out some of these levels. And then you wait for a bounce, wait for a reclaim. So yeah, this is where it's kind of iffy. BTC was trying to show some strength, but some of these alts are potentially signaling that it's just not there yet. I still like that low that was put in. I still think that that's a low that's likely to stick. But yeah, we need to see a pop sooner than later. We need to see some upside continuation here. I think if we hang out too long on a lot of these, I think we risk risk cleaning up to the downside again. So let's continue to watch this. Sorry guys, I got some dogs barking in the back. There we go, guys. Sorry about that. Hopefully that's better now. You might still be able to hear them, but they've seems they've moved a little bit down the road. So yeah, there we go. That should be good. Cool. Yeah, my dogs lose their mind when they're looking out the windows and they run outside and go towards the back. But let's see here. Yeah, give me 1 sec, guys. Let me just make sure these dogs don't come back. Give me 1 sec. I'll be right back. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I had to go make sure. I was making sure they weren't barking at. Sometimes the dogs bark because they're crazy. Sometimes the dogs bark because something you need to go check out. So was just making sure. But yeah, let's get back into this. You guys still following? I see some of you guys still jumping in. I see some of you guys still following and liking on X. Appreciate you guys. Again, quick way to support. Just make sure you are liking the stream, giving it a repost. Very easy, and it helps us get more visibility for content like this. Awesome. But let's get back to it. What's up, Ash? Appreciate Ash, Ryan. I see Landy, Chad, Henny, Minamp, Andrews DTF, Kent. Appreciate all you guys liking, reposting, sharing, doing all that stuff. Awesome. What breed are they? The dogs? They're both mutts. They're both just rescue dogs that I don't know if we found them or they found us, but yeah, one's a little tiny little thing. I don't even know what it is. I think that what they might be is Illa Ipsa or something like that. I don't know how it's pronounced. I'd have to go look it up. And the other one looks like a lab mix. I'll throw some pictures up on X later on of the pups. Yeah, they go a little crazy. Go a little crazy. And the mailman's here, or someone's at the door, or someone's in the alley, or or even if just people are driving around outside or hears people walking, they lose their absolute mind. It's crazy. Reese says, great info. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, we do this all the time. There's a daily Trader Talk space here on Wolf. Different times throughout the week, but there is a calendar pinned to the X page where you can see all the different shows. And then I do this show here on Wolf every Tuesday. at 4 p.m. Eastern. Every single Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern. And then we try and fit another one in on Saturdays that we do. Not every Saturday. It's at least every other Saturday, but we try and hit it. We try and hit it every week when we can. And I am working on coordinating some upcoming shows as well, potentially for Friday mornings, where I'll bring on a guest and have them share, their style of analysis, what they see, how they operate in the market, share a little bit of their background, stuff like that. So we'll do some of those. We're going to start kicking off some of those here in the coming weeks. Got a couple guys already lined up, and we'll have them come on, bring them on, talk about their community, talk about what they're doing, share some alpha with us in terms of maybe they have a cool idea about a certain chart or something that they're watching, whether it's macro based or if it's short term trade idea. So we'll do some stuff like that. Let's take a look at Solami while we're here. Let's take a look at Sol, man. I mean, talk about a range, huh? Talk about just a clean range here. This thing is just clean. I mean, if you're plenty of volatility here, if you like trading, like that's roughly your range high. I'd say your range low is about there. Right now, you're a little bit above the 50% of this range. So, there may be an opportunity if this pumps back up one more time. You might be able to short that, at least back to the middle, maybe down to the bottom. It's kind of moves I like to play and I look for. If this were to come back down towards the low, I'd be looking for long opportunities to try and ride that back up to the middle of the channel or the top of the range. And I just play those all day long. And until that changes, until we see something that breaks out and then, kind of flips the top of this range into support, and then we can look for higher. That'll change, because then we go from a ranging to a trending strategy. Same thing if it did it to the downside, right? If this came down and then chops and then does something like that, then same thing here. We're looking for a trending strategy as it potentially breaks lower, loses that support, does stuff like that, But it hasn't happened yet. It would take quite a while, take a bit of time. I think with a lot of these plays, you really got to be patient, and you got to wait for price to spend some time away from the current range and then give you a nice little retest opportunity, either bullish or bearish. It doesn't really matter. I'm okay with either one. And you just kind of trade that. You trade those ranges. So, yeah, that makes sense. Otherwise, we can sit here and we can come up with all this grand ideas of why we think this is going to go up here, down here. But until it breaks, until we really get that big break, I mean, it's basically just sideways. It's just sideways. Nothing is changing here. People are getting chopped up, trying to get into generational entries on both sides. And it hasn't really broken in either direction. So we're just kind of flat and sideways. So you just got to respect it for what it is. Just treat it for what it is. And when that changes, then hey, we'll adapt the strategy when that time comes. But we're just not there yet. Cardano. Let's look at ADA. I know we got some Cardano fans in the house. I know some of y'all big old Cardano maxis. Look, ADA is one of those that cleaned up 2025 lows, 2024 lows, came really close to 2023 lows. Current, this is what is that? A current a quarterly candle. So current, quarterly, and monthly still haven't fully given a convincing reversal yet. I think it's still a bit early, but this is that October candle, big October candle. We're down here. We're still above this. So what is that? That's a Feb's low. So we're still above Feb low. Yeah, I wouldn't want to see this current month come deeper than like 50% of that wick on Feb. And I think we're getting kind of close though. Let me see here. Let me do it this way. Yeah, I wouldn't want to really see it go much more than that here. Let me put it here. Let's zoom in. Go to daily. Yeah, so see, this is the problem with Cardano even here. It's got that opportunity. This was a nice reversal here. This was a nice candle to the downside back on Feb 6th. But since then, it's been chopping. It's been trying. It looks to me like it's about to invalidate. And who knows? It's too soon to say. But you currently do have higher lows and higher highs. If this comes down and we take out this low from last Tuesday, right? If we see Cardano make a break here below 25.30 or so, then that's probably invalidating. I mean, I know for a fact it's invalidating for me what I was looking for here. Because at that point, yeah, this move is then likely to come down, fill the rest of that wick. And even if it is going to go higher, you're probably waiting for this thing to clean up and do some stuff and then go. As opposed to right now, I mean, I would need this thing to like turn around now. I would need this thing to just be done with it here and then start doing that to keep this uptrending structure together, right? Because we're close. I mean, ideally, even here on here, let's draw this out here, because even yeah, even here, I mean, you do already have, you've got lower lows on all of this. And even though here you had a higher high, you are now trying to push down here internally. And yeah, I mean, on a break of that low, we'll be watching this previous one right here. Interesting. Okay. Not looking good. Needs to get a bounce soon. Needs to get a bounce quickly. Quickly. Here's that 50% of that Feb wick that I don't want to see breached. You know, is there a scenario where this comes down, does something like that, and then tries to reclaim it? Maybe. It just gets ugly at that point. It starts getting ugly for me. But again, like some of the best entries come after you wipe out some lows. So let's see what ends up happening with that. BTC getting a little bit of a bounce, not a lot, getting a little tiny bit of a bounce. Nothing crazy. All right. Any questions on any of that? How are you guys feeling about all that? Let me know. Catching up on these messages. Yeah. All right, cool. All right, let's move on to, let's look at this stablecoin dominance, because there's been a lot of people that have been kind of asking about this. It's been a while since we reviewed this, so let me pull this up. So I do just want to quickly review this because it's been a little bit. So this pattern that I just turned on, here, I'll turn it off so you guys can see it, but it's the little yellow overlay, right? Yellow overlay and then the arrows. What this is this was, and I'll leave it like this, but this was 2021's topping pattern. It's a fractal of the way 2021 cycle topped and then how it moved into the bear market of 2022. So this was the first high in 2021 in April, second high around November. And then this was the first lower low, right? So you put in a low here and then boom, you had that next low, well, a higher low, sorry, in that sense. And then it just melted. So here you kind of got the same thing, right? Where we were essentially going sideways all of this cycle. You put in this first top, which was back in January of 2025. You know, and I'm saying top because when stablecoin dominance bottoms, they're inverse, right? So stablecoin dominance goes down while at the same time Bitcoin and cryptos are going up, right? And the reason for that is, if you're not familiar with this, is when people are selling their crypto. So if people start selling Bitcoin, Bitcoin goes down. Where does that money move into? That money is moving into stablecoins. So stablecoins are going up, right? The dominance, the percentage of money that gets parked in stablecoins goes up relative to the amount of money that's parked in Bitcoin. In terms of crypto, just in terms of cryptocurrency, this has nothing to do with people's US dollars, euros, any of that, right? None of the fiat. This is just in terms of money in the cryptocurrency market. So when these bottom, right, when you see bottoms like this, bottoms in stablecoin are tops in cryptocurrency. If you were to overlay, if you were to add and overlay, let's do it right here. BTC, new price count. All right, look, we'll add BTC over here on the side in this blue line. You'll notice that this bottom in stablecoin dominance was a top in BTC. This bottom in stablecoin dominance was a top in BTC. And then the inverse is true. The tops were the bottoms. Tops were bottoms. Tops were bottoms. Bear market bottoms. Stablecoin, big bear market top. Bitcoin, bear market bottom, right? So they're inversely connected. Same thing here, right? This Bitcoin topped here. Stablecoins bottomed. Bitcoin made a top. Stablecoins bottomed. Here, stablecoins topped. Bitcoin bottomed, right? So you see the inverse relationship, right? Bitcoin tops. Stablecoins bottom. Stablecoins top. Bitcoin bottoms, right? Just wanted to illustrate that. If you guys weren't familiar with it, then that'll help this make more sense. So when we were looking at the way 2021 topped for cryptocurrency, these were your two tops. These were your two Bitcoin tops. Back then, you had your Q1 top, your Q2 top in 2021. And then after that, you went into the bear market, right? Stablecoins started making higher highs and higher lows, higher high, higher low, higher high. What's interesting is that this fractal, this exact pattern for the way we topped over there is exactly the way we're topping right now. It's so funny. Like, even though so many people and so many conversations about how this time was different and things weren't the same, this cycle was just so different from past cycles, stablecoin dominance did the exact same thing. So essentially liquidity and money flow did the exact same thing. Money flowed from crypto to stablecoins exactly the same way it did the last cycle. Top one, top one. Top two, top two. Even up here. Boom, 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 boom. Even this little hitch after top one, top two, you had a higher high here, and then you even got that little hitch. So here, right? Boom, boom. Two little tops. Here's your little hitch. You even got that this time around. Shot up, broke structure, and it's even just hanging out and chopping around the same way it hung around here and chopped just sideways last cycle. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that absolutely wild? I find stuff like this just fascinating. Look at that. This was 2021. This is the current trend. This was 2021's trend. Look how similar that is. Look. Tell me that this is not just a carbon copy of this, of the current one. Uh-oh. Golly. Look at that. Wick high, inside bars. Wick high, inside bars. This suggests that what comes next is supposed to be a big explosion to the upside. We're supposed to be gearing up. Man, we're actually getting closer. So that was after the big wick, you had 1, 2, 3, 4 inside bars. Here so far, you had 1, 2, 3, 4. Man, we might be. This is crazy. We might be here in this week, in the next week. If this is repeating, all right, this is where it gets freaky. If this is repeating, again, very, very similar to the way it did last time, we're probably down to like a week, maybe 2 weeks, probably just a week though. We're down to like the last 7 to 10 days. before this needs to break out, just like it did in 2021, if we're going to continue repeating this type of structure. And obviously, stable coins going higher like this is not a good thing for crypto. That means that something is going to happen in the market that's going to lead people to sell their crypto massively and park it into stable coins. What that catalyst is, I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you what would be the cause for this. I couldn't tell you. But this thing has followed this cycle precisely the same way it did last cycle. I mean, this has been just crazy. Look at that. I mean, it's like a copy. It's like someone just copy pasted this cycle based on last cycle. Absolutely crazy. So yeah, we might be down, man. This is kind of freaky, but we might be down to the last week or so before we see either an explosion to the upside or it invalidates and we get this thing coming back down and something truly is different this time. You know? Yeah, we'll take a look at some of those in a minute. Although I will tell you, man, Ryan, like they're currently looking a little rougher than they were last week. Definitely they're looking a little bit rougher at the moment. They just didn't get any follow through, man. They just got absolutely zero follow through, unfortunately. Here, we'll start with LTC. I mean, again, I've said like the opportunity is here for LTC to make a move from down in this range. Unfortunately, though, if we see something like this on stablecoin, that, you know, in the next 7 to 10 days, this thing just boom, just blasts off, you know, breaks out above that. Dude, I don't know what would happen. I don't know what is going to break in BTC and in crypto, but something's going to absolutely melt this thing down. Like just like nuclear melt, like just absolute mess. And then that would probably mean that all of this stuff is probably going to do the same thing. It's just going to go down, man. You know, very likely we see $20, $30 Litecoin if something like that were to happen. I think there's a decent chance we're gonna probably take out this low over here from June of 2022. And then how deep it goes below that, I don't know, but I think it would be in the 30s. Yeah. But that's very likely at that point to be like one of the last big washouts before, before we try and find some kind of bottom, I think. So it could just be choppy after that. Yeah, because based on this like that, and I don't know. And again, this is just more of like a fun exercise more than anything. I don't think you should be trading based purely on what happened in the past, because what happened in the past is not guaranteed to happen again. But man, like they say, history doesn't always repeat, but sometimes it sure does rhyme. And it is rhyming. It is rhyming right now. Man, it is absolutely rhyming. So yeah, this next leg that happened back in 2021, man, if we get this leg again, that was the bottom. In 2021, that was it. That was it. After that, you consolidated, and then bull market started. This was the bull market, right? This was, or at least the start of it. This was like all the early accumulation, and then this was all just topping distribution. Even though in this process we went 70, 100, 110, 120. Even though you did that, it was all just distributive, right? You're really just distributing liquidity from the people that bought here, right, into the people that were buying over here. That's all that really was. So yeah, if we get one more explosive move up, there's very good chance that might be a serious buying opportunity for those of us paying attention. So we'll see, man. I'm being a little defensive right now, a little bit more than I was even just last week, just because this thing, man, it had every opportunity on this impulse up here. LTC had this beautiful candle last Wednesday. When was that? I think it was last Wednesday, or was that the Wednesday before? No, I think it was last Wednesday, man. Right? Yeah. Look, you had this beautiful candle, had an opportunity, and then so far it's still intact. I mean, I got to say, as long as we're above this low here, this is the low from Saturday. As long as we're above Saturday's low, and this is going to apply pretty much across the board. I think as long as we hold Saturday's lows, from the 28th, as long as that is protected and we don't go below that, I think we've got a shot to continue up higher. If we go below that, then I start to wonder if we're going to clean up a little bit more to the downside, right? I don't know that I'm super interested in just like a trap move below that then sends us higher. And it could happen. It could happen. It could just be a trap swing below that and then it sends. But I'd much prefer that we just don't breach that low in the short term. So let's see what happens. Boo. Yeah. I hear you, man. I totally hear you and I totally feel you. But it is what it is, man. I just got to say it. I got to say it how it is. You know me. I can't lie to you, man. Can't lie to you. What other one did you ask about? I mean, they're all going to look the same, dude, but we can pull it up here. AVAX and Hype. Hype might look a little bit different, but AVAX is going to look pretty much the same as some of these other ones. Yeah, same thing. Just like Litecoin. I mean, look at the similarities, right? Like they're doing the same thing. They're doing the same exact thing. They're just chopping sideways. And this is that Feb 28 low that you want to protect. So at this point, I mean, you're basically just looking for this. Either it's going to come out and take the low of Feb 28, or it's going to come back up here and take the high from right before that. So either you're going previous week low or you're going previous week high. It's like, take your pick. You're kind of right in the middle. And I will say, okay, like this is where, this is where I need to spend more time analyzing this, because a lot of times the best moves, again, right, the best setups and entries come on a big liquidity sweep. And what better cleanup than taking previous week low, maybe even previous month low, right? Because I think that was, no, this is all this, I'm too zoomed in. This is all Feb right here. Yeah, this is all Feb. So that's still the Feb low. So previous week low, at least, right? You could take previous week low on this one. And then after that, you clean that up, boom, and then you get your move to the upside. Absolutely could be in play. Absolutely could be in play. But a move below here does increase the chances that it also just does not recover and needs to go lower to fuel up for something like that. Because at that point, right, like if we're thinking about this as like liquidity sweeps and me trying to rank them or rate them, it's like, yeah, you take that low. It's like, okay, like that's a good entry, right? That's like a good setup. It takes this low down here, right? And then that's okay. That's even better. That's like, this is good. This is better, right? Like this is a, I don't know, C tier, B tier, and then you got like the A tier, right? Or S tier, if you want to call that one, actually. But it's like, you're okay. All right. Now you're taking out not just previous day or weekend range. You're now taking previous week. All right, cool. This is a better setup. Like take that liquidity. Yeah, this is better. Like this is likely to produce better outcomes. But then I'm like, well, if I know that there's a best, right? Even when I'm taking the good, if I know that there's a better, or I know that there's a best, do I really size up and play a good setup with full confidence? No. I might only risk 0.5%, 1% of the port, right? I'm going to do it on lower leverage. Why? Because I know there's better opportunities below. So why would I fully size and deploy on the good one? I'm going to save some in case I get the better one, right? I'm going to save a little bit in case I get the better one. But then if I get the better one, do I full port this, right? Am I fully deployed here? No, because I know that there's a best. I know that there's an even better one down here. There's a best one down there. So here, even though this might be a 0.5%, 1%, maybe this is a 2 to 3%. Some down here, I mean, I get something like this that cleans up all of this. I might be stretching that to like maybe 5%. I might give it a little bit more there. So that's the problem with like thinking of the psychology of these, is that when there's a better setup, when there's that A plus setup, if you just wait a little bit, you tend to not want to play the average tier stuff, or you do it on very low size because you're like, yeah, there's a better one coming, you know. So I don't know. That's just my mindset about that, though. How do you guys think about that? Like, how do you play that type of stuff, or how do you like think about it and work around that? Because that's how my brain tries to think about that and work through that. Bitcoin's still hanging in here. Let's go look at hype really quick while we're waiting. We can look at XPL in a minute, maybe, because I've been watching that one. Monero, I got a Monero idea we can talk about later. River. Ooh, I wonder if River is actually going to give me a short play later today. Maybe. Let's look at hype real quick. Shoot. Let's see here with hype. Hyperlick. Oh, great. What's my dog barking at now? Who knows? Yeah, look, hype is the same thing. I think as long as, granted, this is on a weekly chart, but you basically had a move here to fill this weekly imbalance here, this weekly inefficiency. And so far it's moved away. That's a nice engulfing candle. How was the volume? I mean, it wasn't great, but it was increasing volume, relative to that prior week here. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to see a move below here. I really don't want to see a move below that low on hype of, is that Saturday as well? That was actually a Tuesday low. So hype put in a Monday, Tuesday low. So for hype, I really don't want to see a move here. So even if this is pulling back, like I'm cool with it pulling back a little bit, Ryan. But ideally, we don't want to see these lows taken out if it's going to continue higher, in my opinion. Ideally, this thing here is it's chopping. At some point, it comes down. You do have a gap here. Maybe it comes down, fills in there, and then it tries to go higher while maintaining higher lows here on a 4-hour even. And then that would protect your daily higher lows. That would protect this. So then you'd have, nice clean daily higher lows as well. Because this doesn't look bad. The structure looks okay. You actually, this doesn't look, to me, this does not look bad. You had downtrending structure here, right? So you had a big move up. This broke structure itself, because this was just trending down, right? Lower lows, lower highs, lower low, lower high. Boom, you get a big pump that takes out structure to the left, right? So you take out some of these lows over here. You're now coming down and you're trying to put in higher low structure, right? Relative to that. You're coming here, you're just filling this gap. And then even inside of this localized stuff here on the lower time frames, even here, right? This, even on the pullback, you're putting lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. Boom. You just took out 2 highs. So even if this pulls back, as long as it doesn't breach lows here, I think draws to the upside, man. I think draws still to the upside. As Landy says, sometimes these things have to look dumpiest before pumpiest. There's a lot of truth to that. Yes, sir. Exactly, dude. That's where you can scale into some of this stuff. 100%. And always keep a little bit of dry powder for that unexpected liquidation sale, the must-go sale, because you sometimes get those, And if you have no money to play, man, you miss out on that stuff. For fully deployed, you got no money to play. Still holding XPL to 15 to 20. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm not touching it, dude. Usually when I enter these trades, man, I I build out my case for it well in advance. You guys already know, like I'll build out the trade I want well in advance, and then I wait for the entry to come to me. When it comes to me, I take the entry. Stop loss was already predetermined before price ever came to my entry. The stop loss where my trade was gonna invalidate was already predetermined well in advance before I even hit the buy button. And then after that, I set my take profit levels and I sit back. And this thing is either gonna get stopped out or it's gonna go to my TP levels. Like at that point, my job is done. My job, if I'm clocking in at work, I clock in the morning, I make my coffee, I got to get out. I sit down on my desk. I'm looking for these setups. I identify it. You know, I'm writing my little report of where I think I'm going to buy, where I'm going to have my stop loss to get out if it invalidates, where I'm going to plan on taking profit. I make my plan. And then once I make my plan, I take it to the supervisor and I say, hey, this is the plan. This is what I'm going to execute on. Supervisor says, perfect. Go make sure it happens. I then take those plans over to, who could I take them to? I take it to the frontline worker. You know, I take my plan to the people on the front line. I say, here's the plan. They wait for XYZ to happen. Whenever it goes to that level, they pull the lever, they hit the button, they do whatever they got to do. Boom, the trade executes. And I'm out identifying the next one. I move on to the next one. I'm identifying the next chart while this thing is doing work for me. That's how you leverage your time in trading, is you find these setups, you execute on them, and then you move on. You go do something else. Go find the next trade while this one is playing out. My job was to identify this and to execute on it, to make sure that I put in the orders and everything here played out. Whether this goes to stop loss or it goes to TP is not my job. I don't control that. That's not my job. My job is just to set it, double check it before, make sure it's good, review it a couple times, execute on it, and then to wait. And I'm either waiting to take a small loss because the trade was invalidated, or I'm waiting to take a profit because the trade was correct. The read was correct. So this is in play. I'm not touching it. I told you guys when I was getting long on XPL, I think we talked about it last week. I took the long on XPL and I told you guys where I was going to set the take profits. So we're waiting. We're chilling now. This thing is either going to make me money or it's not, man. Yeah. And look, Anders, that's the game, dude. Like when these things play out, if you get too caught up in like, dang it, it's going, oh, I knew I should have bought a lot more. You're stressing yourself out. You're causing unnecessary anxiety. You're trying to control something you can't control anymore because it's already in the past. Dude, you just say, cool. You know what? I didn't size it the way I wanted it, but maybe in the moment that was the right size. That was the size that it needed to be. And I just proved to myself that I can execute on a plan. I proved to myself that I can read a chart accurately, that, you know, I'm not proving to myself that I have a crystal ball and that I know without a single doubt how things are going to play out every single time. No, that's not what we know. But what we know is that we can read these and identify high probability outcomes, and that we know how to look at this from like a risk reward mindset and say, okay, how much am I willing to lose if I'm wrong? And how much is it going to pay me if I'm right? And am I willing to take that trade? Like in this case, was I willing to risk 14% to potentially make 124%? Maybe it's just going to make me 54%, right? If it just goes to TP1, I make 54%. Am I willing to lose 14% to make 54%? You're damn right. You're damn right I am. And honestly, now with the way it's moved, I mean, there are opportunities to tidy this up. My stop loss from down here could now come up. This stop loss that was below here initially could now get tidied up to here, right? Now it's only a 10% risk, even if it were to come back down. Or I could even go to entry. I could say, you know what? I'm actually going to move that into entry, and I'm just going to let it roll. It's a free trade. If it comes back down, it stops me out. I don't take a loss. Maybe I lose a little bit on fees. Maybe, but that's it. If it goes to profit, I make money. Or you leave the original trade. There was a reason we took the original trade, and there was a reason we thought that this was the right place to put the stop. Let's let it rock and roll. So it's different methods of operation. But yeah, I think XPL is gonna hopefully tick me here at 1470 or so, 15 cents. To hit that first TP, and then we'll see if it comes up and gives me that second one. And then look at that point. If it does that here in the next month, right, in the next 28 days, if it does that, this is going to look very interesting from a quarterly perspective. Because if this thing can end up here above, if this quarter can close inside of the previous quarter, man, that starts getting interesting for a potential move up here for XPO to $1, right? If this quarter closes inside of the previous quarter, which it just needs to be above 1152. It just needs to be above 1152. We're above it right now. So as long as we close this month above 1152, here we'll highlight it. As long as we close this month above that, let's clean this up here, and I'll show you guys how I'm looking at this. Okay. So this is that previous quarter, right? So I'm gonna put it right here. Previous quarter low. Okay. This is that previous quarter low. As long as we close this month above here, right? If we close this month above that, that's going to give us a 3-month close inside of the previous quarter's range. A lot of times, not all the time, a lot of times, that means that the next quarter is going to go back up to the top of that first quarter that we closed within. Not all the time, a lot of the time. It's not perfect, but it is a system, right? I'll show you how it works on BTC, even on the daily. I think I've covered this with you guys, and we'll end on this. But look, it's this exact example here. Here, BTC had this red day. The next day closed inside of that previous day. Notice the close is inside of this day. Even though it wicked below, it ended up closing above and within this prior day. Where did the next day after that go? The next day went back up to the top of that one. It did it here as well. It did it here as well. It did it here as well. These are 4 examples for you on a 1-day chart for BTC, how this little fractal works. And it's the actual reason why we took that XPL long position. Why? This month closed inside of this month. So where am I targeting? I'm targeting potentially the top of that previous month. We'll see if it goes there. And if it does that on a 1-month time frame, why can't it do it on a quarterly time frame? Why can't I, by the end of this next quarter? So why can't I be up here in June? Sometime in June, be at $1 on XPL. Wouldn't that be something? That'd be a whew, talk about a trade. What would that look like? Hold on. Oh man. If I held this, if I just held this 1,600%, that's a heck of a trade. If it went all the way up there. And then at that point, it's like, why don't you go into price discovery? If you're back at all-time high, why isn't this thing going to go absolutely bonkers at some point, right? So crazy stuff. That's just moon math at this point, but it's how it starts. It starts with one time frame flips bullish, and then the next one flips bullish, right? You get bullish on a 15-minute, then it starts looking better on the 1 hour, then it starts looking better on the 4 hour, then it starts looking better on the daily, and suddenly your weekly, your monthly, your quarterly all look good. And then everyone's asking how no one saw this and how no one called it. Well, I don't know. I don't know how that works. I just do me. I just do me, guys. I ain't got time to be worrying about other people's methods and their stuff. I just do me. So hopefully that gives you guys a little bit of clarity. I'm not trying to give you guys FOMO or FUD or hope on that something like that's going to happen. I'm just telling you the logic, the thought process that I am going to use to look at something like an XPL and decide if I'm willing to hold for longer, and how I'm looking to identify new information as the week closes, as the month closes, as the quarter closes, to determine if I'm going to stay in it longer because it has more upside, or if I think the move is done. That's all this is. It's a process of elimination. It's a process of elimination. Is it bullish here? Yes or no? Did it close above this level or below that level? Yes or no? Like, that's all it is. It's math. It's science. It's having a system, a method. That's all this stuff. Is it a form of gambling? Yes, in the sense that we're speculating and we don't really know. At the end of the day, I'm using systems, I'm using information to try and give a really educated guess. So at the end of the day, yeah, I'm speculating. I don't know. But I'm trying to do it in an educated way, as opposed to, oh, everyone's talking about this, let me ape in. Right? I mean, anyways, guys, we're a little bit over on time, but I wanted to make sure we got through that. I think it's important information. Hopefully it's helpful to you guys. I think it is. I think it's valuable stuff. It's the kind of stuff that when my mentors, when the people that have coached me spent time going through stuff like that with me, it led me to have breakthrough moments. It led me to feel more confident, to have more clarity in the market. So I'm just sharing that with you guys. Hopefully it's helpful to you. Again, guys, if you enjoy this type of content, if you appreciate us doing these streams, us going through this type of stuff, this educational focused type of content, make sure, please, very easy, it doesn't cost you anything, like these streams, subscribe to the channels, follow, do the thumbs up, do everything it lets you do, repost this stuff, share it, click on these links, like that link to Ostium that's down below this, to support our partners that make these things possible, to support the Wolf team and ecosystem that make these things possible. Doesn't cost you guys anything, man. Doesn't cost you guys anything. But yeah, appreciate you guys. Thank y'all for jumping on another one of these. We'll be back during the week with more trader talk and market talk shows every single day, as well as a bunch of macro shows, stuff on mining focus, all kinds of stuff going on every single day at Wolf. And we'll see you guys around. Appreciate you all. Have a great day. Peace, guys. Be safe.